Fasten your chin strap today, pimps, because farming preps is coming in hot. This one's going to be good for preppers and survivalists alike. And I am going to literally burn through the 80-20 of farming and shit hit the fan. And it is going to be good. Remember, 20% of what we do produces 80% of the results, guys. And I'm going to tell you what, if you listen to this video, you're going to find out what the 20% is. And if you do what I say, you're going to learn how to apply it. And it is going to be a game changer for you. So you're going to want to save this video to your favorites. And you know what? You might as well like it right now because you know it's going to be freaking lit. But you're probably going to want to reference back to this video. Okay? Let's get cracking on it, guys. First off, I want to talk about the 6 ways in which you're going to provide food for your family and yourself and shit hit the fan. The first one is stored food. That's what you should be doing right now, is getting some food storage going. 2 years minimum is what you want, okay? After that, you got hunting and trapping, fishing, livestock, foraging, and farming. And that's what we're going to cover today. Let me qualify myself. I grew up having a garden, 2 gardens every single year with my dad. After that, I worked in a farm as a teenager. I worked in viticulture for 3 years. I actually helped build and maintain vineyards. And in the last 11 years, I've had a lot of different gardens, most of which have been off-grid. We're talking completely off-grid, okay? Hauling water and running everything on gravity feeds for drip systems and all that kind of stuff. So I know how to do this shit. And off-grid gardening is the closest thing you're going to see to mimicking SHTF gardening, okay, pimps? So I have very relevant experience here. Let's get right after it. The very first thing that you need to do is you need to get started right now. I talk about learning curves on this channel. Anytime you get into anything new, the learning curve is very steep. And that's because you're dicking up a lot of stuff, okay? And then once you start getting enough experience, you're not learning so quickly anymore. This is where you want to be. You do not want to be right here in SHTF, guys, so you need to get cracking on it right now. It doesn't have to be a major production. You want to listen to this video, you want to take my advice, buy a freaking case of beer, a couple racks of ribs, invite your homeboys over, tell them to bring some gardening tools, shovels, mattocks, whatever you need, okay, to get the job done. And they're going to come over and they're going to help you build some permaculture style raised beds, which I'm going to get into, in your backyard, and you're going to seed it all that day. And then on Sunday, you're going to get out there and you're going to set up your drip system on a timer, and bam, you're golden. It's not going to screw with you going to work in the morning or when you get home. It's going to be really, really easy. And then you're just going to keep your eyes on it. It's not hard to set this shit up, guys. Start doing it right now. Next, you need to know what zone your home, your ranch, your bug out spot, you need to know what zone they're in. And this is important because different types of plants grow better in different zones. And you need to know when your first frost is and when your last frost is of the season, okay? I'll tell you guys a quick story. My property is 5,000 to 5,100 feet in elevation. It's in a high desert, but it's in a giant, beautiful forest, but it's still technically high desert. At any rate, I got a whole bunch of potatoes in the ground, reds, whites, russets, and I did this in the spring, and I did it before the last frost of the season. I figured I was golden because the spring was so warm. Well, early June, bam, the last frost actually came through and killed off all the green on all my potatoes. They sprung back because potatoes are freaking hardy, you know, but it still set me behind. That's not what I want to experience in SHTF, guys. So there's smarter ways to deal with that same kind of situation. One of them is knowing when those frost dates are. Another one is using things like cold frames and that kind of shit, and I'm going to get into that later. You want to know what kind of crops are going to grow well where you're going to be growing crops, right? Kind of a freaking no-brainer, but a lot of people don't think about this. They just buy some seed bank online that's got a little bit of everything in it. That does not mean all that shit is going to grow in your freaking garden, especially your native soils. What you really want to do, guys, is you want to go look at commercial farmers in your area. I'm not talking about the hobby farmers that are growing all kinds of stuff and they're taking it all to the freaking farmer's market on the weekend and shit like that, okay? Those people invest a lot of time and money amending those soils to get them to grow whatever they want them to grow. You want stuff that's going to be fairly fire and forget. You want to be able to put it in the ground with the minimal amount of compost added and water it and have it grow. And you really want to look at what your commercial farmers are growing to figure that out, because these dudes are trying to make money, right? It's all about profit, and they want to invest the least amount of money to grow the most produce. And that's exactly what you're going to want to do when shit hit the fan. Once you've decided what kind of seeds you're going to grow, you need to purchase them from a reputable seed company, and you need to go directly to the company to buy them. You do not want to buy them from a middleman like Amazon. And I will tell you guys that in my personal experience, I've purchased a number of seed banks from Amazon. I usually hold on to my seed banks for a year or two, keep them in a cool, dry place, and then crack them open and see if they're going to grow. Well, when I buy them from Amazon, they usually shit the bed. I'll have one pack of seeds where only a third of them are viable, another pack where only a tenth are viable, and other packs where nothing will grow at all. And I have to assume that it's the way the seeds are stored in Amazon warehouses, like they probably get too warm, or maybe they got too hot on the UPS truck. I'm not sure what it was, but I just have not had good success with stuff purchased from Amazon. So you want to buy them from a reputable company, and you want to buy them directly from them, because it's in their best interest to make sure you're going to get good seeds. You need to select 1 or 2 calorie-dense crops that you want to grow. I'm going to use 2 examples. We're going to talk about potatoes, and we're going to talk about corn, okay? And you also want this crop to be one that's not hard to store throughout the winter. And corn and potatoes are both easy to store. Pimps, your macronutrients and your micronutrients are really going to matter in shit hit the fan, okay? And these are part of your macronutrients. Carbohydrates. Potatoes are very starchy. Corn has a lot of sugar in it. You want to be able to take advantage of those carbs and SHTF so you can rock the end of the world like a freaking pimp, man. Potatoes are super hardy. They grow just about anywhere. And if you're in a place that gets really cold in the wintertime, man, you just leave the damn things in the ground. Don't even pull them out. You don't even need to put them in a freaking root cellar, man. Just leave them in the ground and dig them up as you need to. Unless they're, going to be frozen in the ground because the frost line is like going to freeze them up. In which case, you can store them in some other methods. I'm going to get into that later in this video. And you don't actually have to build a root cellar, pimps, okay? Corn is also a great crop because you can dry it out. You can store all your kernels in freaking garbage cans and can just grind it up for your chickens as you need to, or make cornbread. And it's also rich in carbohydrates. Strongly consider seeding the area around your home, your bug out spot, your ranch, whatever it is. Wherever you're going to spend SHTF, man, consider seeding it with some kind of grain. Wild grains, just like the ones in the area, would be great, but you could also seed it with a non-wild grain that's going to grow in your area and is going to be no maintenance. That's what you're looking for, dudes. Don't be cheap. You want to do at least 10 pounds. Get all this seed out there. Let it do its freaking thing. It's going to reseed itself every year, and it's just like extra insurance. Not to mention, if it really freaking takes off, you're going to have an option to harvest grain, possibly make bread with it, maybe even do some brewing with it down the road. Who knows? It's just not that expensive to get it done, guys, and it's maintenance free. It's like a no-brainer. Learn to compost. It is not that hard, guys. A lot of the scraps from vegetables you eat in your kitchen can be composted. Hell, your human waste can be composted. It's not hard to do. Start doing it, because remember, when the shit hits the fan, you're not going to run down to Ace Hardware and pick up a bag of cow shit. It's not going to work that way, okay? I have a hard time doing that anyway. Like, paying money for shit to me is like buying firewood. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to compost animal crap out here and scraps from the kitchen and the garden and all that kind of stuff. That's how I rock it. I know not everyone can do that. And right now, if you're going to get a garden cracking, you're going to have to purchase manure somewhere, most of you. But you want to learn how to compost some shit, okay? I'm going to give you a rapid breakdown right now how to compost human waste in Shit Hit the Fan. So here it comes. What you're going to do is you're going to have everybody's shit outside in one spot. You want literally a pile of shit out there, okay? Every time someone takes a shit, you're going to throw some dirt on top of it, or wood shavings or leaves or pine needles or straw, whatever, okay? You get the idea. You're going to keep shit in there until you got a pile of shit that's roughly the size of a 20-gallon garbage can. You're going to cover it with more dirt, straw, leaves, okay? And then you're going to leave it there for a year, 2 years. You're going to start a new pile, a new potty spot. That's where people are going to be going. Well, that stuff's going to compost, and eventually, just by sitting there, you don't have to turn it. You don't have to deal with it. After enough time, you could use it in a garden if you want. Bam, there you go. Permaculture raised beds. Pimps, this is a really, really big one. I'm going to put a thumbnail on the screen right here. Fair use. I got it off of Google. This thumbnail, though, is actually from a book that I own. It's Sepp Holzer's Permaculture, Seppholzer, Permaculture. I'm going to put a link, an affiliate link down in the description if you want to buy the book. It's a great book. I've used it for a number of years. It's freaking awesome. But probably the biggest thing out of this book that you want to rock is the permaculture raised beds. These things are badass, pimps. I've used all kinds of methods to grow stuff. This is the winner by far. So learn how to do them. That's what you want to set up in your backyard with your freaking homies drinking beer and shit on that weekend, okay? Learn how to do these things. It is an absolute game changer. If you're really interested in these, you might want to go ahead and just subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to do videos on me setting up mine for this coming growing season. Greenhouses and cold frames. Guys, these are a great way to extend your growing season. It's much easier to use the cold frames like early on in the growing season, because oftentimes towards the end, you know, your plants are getting kind of big and they won't all fit in a cold frame at that point in time. But they're great. They're great for protecting your baby plants from like a late frost or even a bit of an early frost, okay? So it's going to save you some time. It's going to let you get your stuff in the ground earlier. Greenhouses are awesome because obviously they extend the growing season on both sides. You can get started earlier and you can go later. A big tip for greenhouses is compost materials in the greenhouse. The heat will help keep the greenhouse warm throughout the winter time. Don't do it in the summer. You don't need to do it then, but do it in the winter. If you've done everything right and you had a big outdoor garden and you grew some good starchy vegetables you have stored and a whole bunch of other stuff like some root vegetables that are going to keep throughout the winter time, I think that most of what you want to have in your greenhouse is high micronutrient content type plants. We're talking like kale, broccoli, collards, your greens, stuff like that. You really want to keep your body loaded up on these kind of nutrients, pimps, because I'm going to tell you what, in Shit Hit the Fan, you're going to become malnourished if you're not taking care of yourself in this way. When I was in Ranger School, getting starved and sleep deprived and all that kind of stuff for freaking weeks and weeks on end, my blood actually turned pink, like almost as pink as Pepto-Bismol, and that's because we were malnourished. And that's what's going to happen in SHTF. And when you get to that place, a simple scratch that you would normally just ignore can literally become infected and kill you. So you want to be making sure you're getting your micronutrients. You need to learn how to store your produce without refrigeration, guys. Am I telling you to go build a cellar? No. If you can, go do it though, okay? Because it's going to be a big boon for you in SHTF. But there are a number of methods you can employ to keep vegetables throughout the winter without having a cellar. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some thumbnails up on the screen right over here. This is from a book I have called Putting Food By. I don't even know if it's still in print. If it is, I'm going to put an affiliate link down in the description. It is mostly about canning, but it even goes into dehydrating, salting meats, and storing vegetables with these kind of methods. If you can't afford the book, screenshot the video, zoom in, and check that shit out. As you can see from those thumbnails, though, you don't need a cellar to store vegetables throughout the winter. All you need is a shovel, if that. shit, man, you can get it done with your bare hands if you have to. Water. Let's talk about that really quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to point you in the direction of my water preps video. I'll put a link down in the description. Check that out. You need to keep in mind with your water preps, if you're going to be having a garden every year and you're going to be farming your own produce, you're going to have a lot of extra water needs. Okay, so make sure you can fill those needs. You can set up any kind of catchment surfaces to catch additional water, like the roofs of buildings, your home, sheds, that kind of stuff. That's a great, simple idea. And you can even run them into any kind of big open container, like troughs if you needed to, and always haul that water by bucket load to your garden. If your garden is downhill of this water storage, it's not hard to run a siphon, really easy to water your garden, or to even run a drip system off of a battery powered timer, which I have done quite a bit in off-grid gardens. Okay, pimps? It does not have to be a freaking nightmare to garden in SHTF. You can think of a smart way to get this done. I think I'm going to wrap it right there, guys. Hey, like the video, share it with somebody that would dig this information, okay? Big stuff here. This is really big, guys. Farming could do a lot for you in SHTF. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already with us. Check out my Patreon link in the description. I do a lot of info dumps on there for my patrons where details that didn't make it into my public videos go into those info dumps. So if you want more information, that's the place to get it. Also, if you just want to help support the channel, I'd appreciate it, and that's the place to do it. Guys, I'm going to let you go. I'll see you on the next video.